Welcome back, and in this segment we will be talking about tourism and the latest updates in terms of tourism in Egypt, and we're joined in the studio by Mr. Karim Minabawi, and he is a board member of the Egyptian Tourism Federation. Good morning, Mr. Karim.
Good morning, sir. And maybe the question that anyone who will ask right now, tell us more about the current situation in Egypt.
Well, I have to say the current situation is very positive nowadays. Specifically, surprisingly, from the long haul. When we say the long haul, so the destination or the source market that actually are more than 6 and 7 hours away from Egypt, specifically from America, the Asia and the Asia Pacific, Australia. This source market have started to increase tremendously over the last period. British, they're not back as they used to be before 2015. However, I have to mention that British is the market that has supported the Egyptian tourism since the revolution. Yes. It was mainly the only one that, I mean, it has never been same as before, but it was the one that didn't decrease to the 80%. I'm talking now in the culture side, the culture tourism, to 80% like the other market. You have a market like the French market went down to zero. And when I say zero, it was really zero. It was down completely. But British market is the one that supported a little bit the tourism trade. But by the Russian crash, this was the real reason that brought the British market down. It started a little bit also there. I have to say we got a lot of positive response after Merkel visits, Miss visits. And I can say that we have very, very positive expectation for the very short future.
Now, recently, Egypt was visited by celebrant international figures. We had Messi, we had also, as well, famous Hollywood actors. We had even important diplomats visiting Egypt. How do you see the impact of such important visits on tourism in Egypt?
It can't be except positive. This is the type of events and the type of PR that we wanted to do to show the whole world how safe and how important Egypt is for the political life, as well as how safe it is for the tourists. Messi has done a great job.
Will Smith also, I think.
Will Smith, exactly. But Smith, starting by Smith, done a great job. Will Smith, great job. The couple visit of Merkel, but this time not a visit that was inside the office, but it's there at the pyramids with a great, fantastic dinner under the tent with a little bit of show. So it shows a little bit of entertainment. It shows a little bit of the visit had a part of a social interest as well. This is what we wanted to show. Let me tell you a great news that you will be the first to hear now, and the first time to air it on the TV. In a month's time, we are having the European Cup, the World Cup, which is touring the whole world. When I say touring the whole world, they have selected 6 destinations around the world, 3 in Latin America, Egypt to represent Africa, Arab world, and Middle East, and then 2 other destinations in Asia, specifically India and Vietnam, something like that. But anyway, what is important for us, they will be coming to Egypt early April. The cup itself was an ambassador from UFA, which is the European Federation of Soccer, Football, and they will be here for a whole day. They're going to have a big event at the pyramids, and again, that will be and this is what we wanted. I mean, international important event, but they are one after the other. It's not 1 year after that, but really at such a frequency. It shows, it brings Egypt back into the scene. And most importantly, we're not heading direct, it's not a direct publicity or a direct advertisement for the tourists. This is what we didn't want to do. We didn't want to say Egypt is fine, Egypt is the best, the pyramids are nice. The people know about the pyramid, the people know about the museum. We wanted people to talk positively about Egypt. That's what have been the first step.
Actually, this represents 2 parts. That using celebrities is one of the important trends in marketing in general, in addition to the word of mouth. We are not the one who is saying, these people who are visiting us, they are...
And it's not a direct advertisement.
Yes, because of course when you say it, it's completely different from one out of the other countries. He is the one who is saying. But the point is, I'm talking about the market in general. What about different markets we are trying to seek. You've mentioned, for example, Britain's, maybe because the economic situation over there, again, because it is not only about tourism, it is political, it is economic, many, many things. I always ask myself, for example, when we talk about the price of the Egyptian pound, and if you come to Egypt to spend a vacation, how much are you going to pay when it comes to the dollar or the euro, for example? But again, it is political and it is economic. We know in England, for example, or Britain, for example, they have a certain situation after the Brexit, different countries as well. So what kind of markets we're talking about, and how can we use celebrities again? Because this is, again, something that is really very, very...
Well, those are two separate questions.
Yes.
I mean, what are the markets? We have to address two different markets. We have to address the market that has been very strong in Egypt before.
Like Italians, for example. What about the Italians?
Russian, Italian, British, French went down to zero. We started to get a little bit of interest so far from France, which is a very good sign. So those are the main, German, of course, those are the main market that we have completely lost. So we have to address again those markets, start to bring them back, but we have to learn from our mistake. We don't have to concentrate all our efforts into few markets that were actually 5 or 6 markets that were occupying 80% or 70% of our actual numbers. We have to address new markets that have been completely ignored in the past. And I want to specifically address here the Latin American market, South American market. Very important market, quite a high yield. They are very thirsty to come to Egypt. Their major problem was the airline. Now with the Middle Eastern airline that are flying into this part of the world, it helps them to come to Egypt. We have to address the Asian market that we have neglected always. Indian, we started with India now. China is a very good example, and it started to pick up very nicely. I mean, I'm sure you've heard over the last period, maybe there was nothing in Luxor except Chinese. Well, it's very low yield. It's another problem that you have to address and attack, but I mean, it's coming. So what market? We have to address the old one, but we have to learn from the lesson and address the new one as well. Now, using the celebrities, yes, using the celebrities, exactly like you mentioned. It's not that you, being Egyptian or a minister of tourism or someone who is directly involved, come out and say, Egypt is nice, Egypt is best, Egypt is beautiful, Egypt is safe, Egypt is no harm to go there. I mean, it will sound very much like a bias. But if you get those celebrities who have a trustworthy word and they have lots of followers, Messi had over a billion followers on his Facebook. I mean, what best? I mean, you can't have better. The coming European Cup, all this will just show there were other people who are not directly related who would say Egypt is safe, exactly the message that you want to say, but it would come from people that people trust, people follow, people believe. So those are, and you want more of this. I've just been on a TV program last month and I said, just after actually the day of Messi, I said, it's good, but we have to continue. I mean, otherwise the people will forget. I mean, they will only remember Messi when you will bring something similar, not necessarily in sportive, but yeah, sportive, educative, any other, word interest, you bring them back, bring them to Egypt. That will remind people of, and by the way, did you see Messi? And that will keep them, refresh their mind, and will show how Egypt is safe and the beauty of Egypt coming from their mouths themselves.
Another important market which I know that you know a lot about is PCO.
Yes.
And that's a good market because it's actually the people pay a lot in that. Now, how are you doing so far in it, and how can we re-promote it? Because I recall at a certain point, even you yourself, you were big in that, and I recall all the gala dinners and things you used to organize. And how is PCO now in Egypt?
Well, this is during the old good days. Well, PCO, let me just say PCO stands for Professional Conference Organizer. So it is the segment of tourism that's related to conferences. Mm-hmm. The good thing about conferences, that conference actually is a big umbrella for many smaller segments into, when you have a conference, you have people that make use of their trip to, or their attendance to the conference, and they do visit some sightseeing and so on. So this is leisure. You have the same people who would attend some event for the opening and the closing of the conference. This is event, this is incentive, or not incentive, but it's event, and it's some big farewell dinners and so on. So it also shows other side of Egypt. Unfortunately, this type of segment we have neglected for a while. It's a long-term investment. It also you you can attract conferences in 2-3 years to come. Remember early in for 1994 or during the 90s, we have had this was the diamond time of conference for Egypt, and we have worked on this late 80s, early 90s, and that makes Egypt during the 90s extremely rich, and we've had lots of very mega conferences. We've neglected for the last 4, 5, 6 years. That means that we will not have mega ones over the coming 2-3 years. However, if we start now, then we are securing 2020 onwards. We hope that this is the highest yield.
The incentives, as we call it.
Conference and incentive, it's two different. Yes.
But it is a way of incentives because you are promoting, of course. This is there are different countries who basically depend on this. And of course, talking about, for example, talking about the German Chancellor Angela Merkel, and we can see right now on the screen with President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi standing by the pyramids. And we have to, yes, it was great. And actually, she was moving across the country. She went to the cathedral, she went to Azhar. She was moving across the country from different places. And I don't have to say how she felt safe in the country or anything like that. You can see it just as you mentioned. You think, again, talking about this, talking about the German tourists, how do you see the future of German tourists? I'm always talking about German and Italians because Italians, for example, they used to rank #1 in the good old days, as you mentioned, and Germans as well.
German, you know that ITB, which is the most important tour, is currently taking. It's the second day of the ITB today, and I know that there is lots of plans into the Minister of Tourism mission into the ITB. Well, ITB is in German, but it's addressed the whole world. You go there and you meet the whole world. It's not on German, but of course, being there in Germany, he will have the chance of meeting a lot of media, a lot of people in charge, and we still have great hope. I was just on the phone yesterday night with the head of Egyptair there, and he immediately said it's incredible, it's going very well. I'm already seeing at least 10 to 15% increase in this is Egyptair, which is the scheduled airline. But if Egyptair is increasing by 10-15%, I can assure you that you talk about 20, 25, 30% on the charter business, which is always, if you compare schedule to charter, it's maybe triple, it's not quadruple of the figure. So if he has such an increase, I'm sure that it's much more for the charter side. So we are very positive about Germany as well. Italian, the good thing about Italian that they come in big number, but also they come during our low season, and this is very important. The main arrival of Italian is during summer, and this is where we are actually searching for business. Most of the Western European, they don't come during this period. So Italian and Spanish, both of them, they really feel this gap. So Spanish are back. I mean, during the FI Tour, which is the show that took place in Madrid in January, it was extremely positive, and all those who specialize in Spanish market came extremely happy. So Spanish apparently will come back during next summer. So hopefully Italian, we've started to see some. I personally I'm experiencing I did experience over the last 10 days a very good takeoff from the Italian as well. But again, when we say takeoff, we will not be back to 2010 this year. I mean, but if we can see at least 50% back, that will be a very good sign.
Let's be optimistic.
Absolutely.
We hope that we can achieve something in this respect.
Well, Mr. Karim Minabawi, board member of the Egyptian Tourism Federation, thank you very much for this interview.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Well, and that brings us to the end of this episode of Breakfast Show. But first of all, I have to thank my colleague, Nashwa Rashid. Thank you very much,
Nashwa, very much. Thank you all for joining us on this episode of our Breakfast Show. And remember to join us again tomorrow, same time, for more on our show. Till then, thank you for joining us, and stay tuned for more coming up on Nile TV International.